You'll soon be seeing some additional information on YouTube, as they have put out a press release announcing their efforts to combat misinformation in regards to the upcoming U.S. presidential election. Other media sites have had informational campaigns going for a while, including Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but YouTube will now be adding a box that will contain links to the Bipartisan Policy Center regarding mail-in voting to any video that is discussing the topic. In addition, any searches for 2020 presidential or federal congressional candidates will result in an informational panel being shown about that candidate. They'll also guide people to validated sources for searches on how to vote or where to vote. To combat misinformation regarding voting, they will demonetize content that could significantly undermine the voting process or participation in it. Social media is rife with misinformation and sometimes complete lies about the voting process, so the more sources that are available with factual information, the better off we are. You can read more about it at digitaltrends.com. California Governor Gavin Newsom has announced that the state will ban the sale of new gas-powered vehicles by the year 2035. To put it another way, all new vehicles sold in California in the year 2035 will need to have zero emissions. So as the West Coast has dealt with one of the worst fire seasons ever, Newsom cited greenhouse gases as one of the contributing factors to the climate change that is affecting them. According to the statistics, the ban would reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 35% in the state and would result in an 80% improvement in oxides and nitrogen emissions. There are also plans to make larger vehicle emissions free by 2045. But many other countries around the world have already set timelines for when they will cease the sales of new gas-powered vehicles, with a large number of European countries, including Germany, instituting bans starting between 2030 and 2040. Norway's ban actually goes into effect in 2025. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be built out to accommodate that many electric vehicles, and of course the issue of where that electrical power comes from and whether or not the power plant is emission-free needs to be studied as well. Expected advancements in battery technology, which would allow for longer usage and quicker charging, could help ease some of the infrastructure build-out as well. There's a lot of this that can be figured out in the coming years, but you can read more about California and the world's efforts to transition from the use of gas-powered vehicles at digitaltrends.com. Continuing on here with trending news. As a number of different companies up the ante against Apple and their App Store policies, a group of some of the biggest have banded together to form a coalition. It's called the Coalition for App Fairness. The organization brings together Epic Games, Spotify, Basecamp, Match Group, which is Tinder, Tile, and Deezer, among a few others. Current policies dictate that app makers must cede 30% of their App Store sales to Apple, which has been upsetting app developers for years, but has recently taken a dramatic turn when Epic Games intentionally tried to circumvent the rule by selling Fortnite in-game currency via a direct payment within the game. This led to Apple banning Fortnite from the App Store and a lawsuit being filed by Epic that is still playing out in courts. As part of the Coalition for App Fairness's mission statement, they outlined 10 App Store principles that they believe should be adopted in order to curtail anti-competitive behavior and what they are calling the app tax. After a number of individual efforts, they feel that as a group, they may have a better chance at affecting change. As of now, Apple has not responded, but I'm sure we'll hear something soon from them. You can follow along at digitaltrends.com. A team of curling-playing robots has managed to beat some leading teams of humans, which is further proof the robots will take away everything. This is actually part of a study on robotics and artificial intelligence being put out by researchers from Korea University and the Berlin Institute of Technology. The main goal is to see how the robotics can interact with an actual physical environment, where things constantly change and adaptations must be made in real time. Curling is what they chose because of the fact that it involves so many complex physics, between sending a 40-pound puck down the ice, determining the right angle to get the closest to the bullseye, while avoiding obstacles, and the ever-changing nature of the ice, which is huge. That's a lot different than a virtual environment. Curly is actually two different robots, one at the end that is able to scan the real-world environment, and one that actually moves and sends the puck down the ice. It played in matches against 4 of the top teams in Korea and won 3 of them. I don't know how they can simulate drinking beer as well, but I feel like that does need to be a factor regardless, though. You can read more about it at digitaltrends.com.